Hey everyone, welcome to a very special edition of Fighting to Live. My name is Sammi Rivera. We have a surprise for you guys today. First of all, I want to show you guys, this was my starting weight today. Not really proud of that weight. It's actually 105.9 because I have to reduce 1.1 for the shoe and the brace, so it's a little bit less. But I still left at 103.2 the other day, so that's more than 2 kilos of gain. Today we have something very special lined up for you. I'm going to have a very special guest with me today, and I can't wait to get this interview started. We're actually doing an interview while I'm doing dialysis. And I hope that you guys all tune in for this entire segment, because it's going to be not only my first interview, being interviewed by someone else, but also it's very different because we're doing it while I'm getting treatment. So here we go. Welcome to Fighting to Live. We are doing a very special edition today. I have a very special guest, Michael Rosenburg, with me today from Living with ESRD. He is a personal blog writer and a technical writer, and today we are doing an interview to talk about dialysis.
Yeah.
Welcome, Michael.
Hi.
Hi.
So yeah, I've got a bunch of questions. I wrote them down even, so I'm not, so I don't like sound like an idiot.
We're very professional here.
But you were talking a little bit, and I do want to know why you chose hemodialysis over peritoneal dialysis. I do peritoneal dialysis, by the way. There's 2 different kinds of dialysis. I call it the other dialysis because most people, when they think of dialysis, they think of hemodialysis.
Right. You know, I didn't really, actually, I don't think I was given much information as far as options for dialysis. When I started, they were like, you need to have a fistula made, you need to have this, so that way when you go to dialysis, you can have an access. And having been a patient care tech before, I just naturally assumed that this would be the environment that I'm coming to. So, I never really considered doing home dialysis or peritoneal dialysis. I just kind of picked what was familiar, I guess, to me. So that's why, you know, that's why I do hemodialysis.
And I remember hearing that you had a catheter to your heart before as well, correct?
No, I've never had a catheter. In fact, there was a slight chance that I was going to have one put in, because when I had my fistula created, it was only a month before I actually needed to start dialysis. Right. So they didn't think that my fistula had matured enough for use, but we luckily didn't have to use a catheter for an emergency situation. So I've not had a catheter put in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's good, because I mean, as I understand it, catheters are like extremely dangerous, very dangerous to use, I guess.
Yeah,
they go straight to your heart.
They do, and when they're accessing it, they have to take extra special precautions, like they have to make sure everything is sterilized. Well, not that they don't make sure that it's sterilized here, but they have to take extra precautions just to make sure that everything is sterilized, because it's a direct access to the heart.
Well, yeah, I noticed that we're all not wearing masks in here. Like, for example, when you connect for peritoneal dialysis, everybody in the room has to wear a mask. You need to turn off the air conditioning and all like that. So they really want to make sure that you're very clean and all like that when you're doing peritoneal dialysis.
Right.
So that was surprising to me. I thought I'd have to wear a face mask. And,
No.
So I know that you said that the reason why you found out that you had kidney disease is you lost your vision, correct?
I did. Actually, what I was doing is I was working on a Food Network show, and we were on tour on the East Coast. And just one day, out of the blue, my vision became very clouded, and I thought, what is happening? I thought maybe I was having allergies, and it was just a weird side effect of, you know, allergies and being in a different environment. But it was very cloudy, almost like fog, like San Francisco fog. Mm-hmm. And I thought, something is happening. What is going on? What is going on? And then it got so bad to the point where I couldn't drive. which was very scary because I was in a new place, I was unfamiliar. I thought by the time the season ended and I had gotten back to LA, I hadn't gone to see a doctor for a minute because I thought maybe it's my migraines, maybe, you know, it's whatever, but they were all actually linked in together.
Right.
So as a side effect of having long-term diabetes, what happened was I had blood vessels in my eye explode. And so what the cloudiness was just blood that was surfacing on the eye and covering, you know, the visual part, and I couldn't see anything. And the funny thing is that actually it just started happening about 2 days ago again. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't see. So even right now, I can't really see you clearly, but it's a little foggy, you know, everywhere else. And I have to like lay back and calm down and like, you know, get myself to relax. And I have to check my sugars to make sure that, you know, that my sugars aren't out of whack. So I don't know what's happening. And I actually had this right eye laser cauterized about a month and a half ago. So I don't know what's going on, but I have an appointment on Monday to go see my ophthalmologist.
You're right, that is hilarious.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm dying laughing.
Gnarly. Okay. So was it the diabetes that is led to the cause of your CKD?
Yes. I have been a long-term diabetic patient. Back when I found out that I was diabetic, I was 17. I didn't really know much about it, even though, like, doctors would tell me vague things, like, oh, you know, you have to diet and exercise, and I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You know, at 17, I'm not really listening to anyone.
Exactly, yeah.
And then I later came to realize, I came to find out that both my mom and my dad and every single person on both sides of my family has diabetes. So I kind of didn't really have a chance at not getting it. Like it was just what happened. But also I think back in the day when I was younger, I don't think there was a lot of research and a lot of studies that delved into childhood or juvenile diabetes. So there wasn't a lot of information to be had back then.
I think I'm similar. My CKD was caused by diabetes as well, and high blood pressure.
Yeah.
But mine was like undiagnosed for a long time because I didn't like to go to the doctor. I didn't like to get poked with needles. Right. Which is ironic now because I get poked all the time when I go to. I get labs around once a month. I poke myself daily to check my blood sugars. Yeah. I just had no idea that number one that people in my family didn't have diabetes, so you had the clue at least. Right. But I was just an idiot, and I ate stupid stuff, and I never exercised.
Yeah. The funny thing about that is that I actually did for a long time. I ate a lot of stupid stuff, but then I would go to the gym for like 3 hours. Right. So even though I had that information,
genetic predisposition to diabetes also.
It was just and I had a biopsy done last year, and they were trying to see maybe it was another source, maybe it wasn't just the diabetes, maybe it was something that was acute, that brought it on really quickly. But nope, they did the test and they were like, nope, just diabetes. I'm like, okay, great, thanks.
And did you have any other symptoms of kidney disease before you started dialysis or before you found out you had kidney disease?
Yes. So I was getting very bad migraines. Migraines that lasted 3 days. And I always got them from Tuesday to Thursday. So Tuesday, I could feel it coming on, and it was very high sensitivity. Like things that smelled like laundry detergent would trigger a migraine. Cologne would trigger a migraine. Food would trigger a migraine. And I'm like, what is happening? Yeah. And then probably the most TMI thing that I will tell you that I'm very open with. One day I went to the bathroom and all of a sudden it felt like a very high force of gas came out with my urine, and it was foamy, and I was like, that's not okay, something's happening, like I don't know what's happening, there's foam in the toilet, like something's happening. And it was very, very strange. I didn't know what it was, so I looked it up and they were like, oh, it could be that you have too many proteins in your urine, or it could be something serious, go see a doctor. And I'm like, thanks, WebMD. okay. That was actually the very first signal, was the foam in the urine, and I thought that's never happened. I don't know what's happening. But other than that, about 3 or 4 days before Thanksgiving, I had gotten a huge blister on my foot, and I didn't notice it because I have neuropathy, so I can't really feel anything in my feet. My partner had noticed that there was like wet all over the floor, and she was like, "What's going on?" And she checked out my foot, and I had a blister, and I thought, okay, well, if it gets worse, we'll go to the hospital. And when we went to the hospital, that's when they tested for labs, and they were like, "By the way, your kidney function's really low, like you're at 30% or something like that. You should probably follow up with a nephrologist."
Yeah.
And I thought, oh yeah, sure, okay, it's low, we'll fix it, well, I'll get it to go back up. And then it just started decreasing. Like we moved back to Oregon in 2016, and I want to say within that next year, all of 2017, it was just progressive. It was just 30%, 22%, 18%, 14%, 13%, 11, 5, 3, and I was like,
wow,
okay. And I was trying everything. I was trying like homeopathic remedies and things that I had found online. Was trying to, any kind of minerals or supplements or vitamins or anything. I was just pumping my body full of this stuff, and nothing was helping. So, yeah.
And so you're originally from Oregon?
I'm originally from Los Angeles.
From Los Angeles.
Yes.
Okay.
I moved here to Oregon in 2006.
Okay, that's the same year I moved to LA.
Yeah, yeah. And then spent the last, 12 years moving in and out of Oregon. I moved to Washington, Idaho, Colorado, back to California a couple of times, and I've always just come back here. Went to film school and went back to LA.
Right?
I did, yeah, Clackamas. Went to LA in 2014, came back in 2016, and I've been here since.
So when did you start dialysis? That was 2016, you said?
2017.
2017.
Actually, it was the day before Thanksgiving last year. Yeah, so it's funny, when we found out about my diagnosis that my kidneys were failing, it was Thanksgiving. And then I started dialysis the day before Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving is a very sentimental holiday for me. We're coming up on a year. It's it's a big anniversary.
Yeah. So you started dialysis last year, the day before Thanksgiving. Okay. So yeah, it's almost been a year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been on it 3.5 years now, almost. And then when did you get your fistula installed? Installed is how it's
installed, yes. I downloaded it, no. I had my fistula created, I think it was the end of September last year.
Right.
And generally speaking, I think they needed 2 months of healing time for it to mature. Yeah, for it to mature so that they could use it, which was a concern when I went in for my first dialysis treatment, because I had to go to the emergency room, and they were like, "We don't know if your fistula is matured enough. We're not sure if we're going to be able to run a full treatment. We might have to put in an emergency catheter." And I was like, "Absolutely not, please, no, I don't want a catheter, please." But they tested it, it held up, it did great, so we just continued to use it.
You've been using it ever since?
Yep, ever since.
And so you mentioned that you're getting worked up for a kidney transplant. Where is that at?
I have been going through and talking with the coordinator at OHSU.
OHSU.
There's two programs here in Oregon, or OHSU and Legacy. And I have only been dealing with OHSU, and I have had a difficult time even getting to the transplant education classes. Now, they have some very strict requirements, and one of them is that I have to reach a weight goal, which means I have to be at the maximum 217 pounds. And when I first started, it was 224 pounds. Now, when I first started dialysis, I was at 300 pounds with all the fluid, and then
Right.
I had to do some extreme measures. I had a weight loss surgery to help me with this process. I started doing dialysis. I started taking off water. In order to get any information on the transplant classes and the process of what I have to do all these workup, these tests. You know, I have to have my dental checked to make sure I have no cavities. I have to have a mammogram. I have to meet the weight goal, and I'm almost there. I think I'm teetering right at about 12 pounds away.
Nice.
But I've been having a lot of setbacks in the last 3 months that has really prohibited me from reaching that goal. Yeah, so I'm going through OHSU trying to get through that
Have
system.
you tried Legacy?
Not yet. I just recently got the information for Legacy, only because when I spoke to the coordinator and I told her, I said, look, I'm only about 15 pounds away. You know, I'd like to sign up for the classes. She told me I can't even sign up for the classes until I reach the weight goal. And I thought, that's ridiculous. You guys are already saying that I'm on a trend going, you know, losing weight and reaching my goal. I don't understand why I can't even take the education classes. So it's been very frustrating. I even got that conversation on camera. I was just like, so you're telling me I can't even take the classes until I get to the goal. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So.
I would definitely look into, I'm listed in Legacy.
Uh-huh.
And when I spoke with my nephrologist, he said that Legacy is a little bit easier to get listed.
Yes.
So I don't know what their requirements are, but it's worth it. It's worth checking out. So I'm glad that you're getting that information.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did think, you know, OHSU, that's a really,
Right.
you know, state-of-the-art hospital. It's going to be a great process. You know, it's been nothing but roadblocks.
And Legacy, everybody I've talked to there, first of all, they're all really nice. I mean, everybody in the kidney treatment world is really nice, which is a blessing for us patients.
Right.
But the way that they work their program, they want to make sure, so I was listed also down in UCLA, and that was a pretty easy process of getting all the tests that I had to go through. But then I came up here, and Legacy's like, well, we want to run some of our own tests, including an angiogram of your heart.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, I've never had an angiogram. It's a little scary. So they gave me an angiogram, and my heart is fine and all like that. But I was just a little worried because I was like, why do I have to have the angiogram?
Right.
But that was like the biggest thing that they had to do, but it wasn't like prohibitive of my weight or anything like that.
Right.
I'm a bigger guy too.
I think what the speculation was is that they weren't so strict with their policies before, and they were having people who were excessively overweight and not even close to the goal weight that were taking the classes, and then they would just not, not reach the goal, not take it seriously, not do any kind of workup. So they were wasting resources doing these classes for people who weren't prepared. And I'm like, okay, but I'm not in that category.
Yeah.
You know, I'm working really hard to try to get there, to get this done and over with. Like, I want to go on living. I want to go back to work. I want to, you know, resume my normal life. And I can't do that having to come to dialysis 3 days a week.
So that leads me into my next question. Do you mind if I ask, are you on Social Security?
I am on disability right now. Because of the structure of my work, it's very, I mean, you worked in production, so it's very hit or miss.
Right.
You're hired, you're not hired.
Right.
You work, you're not working. You work 14-hour days or 18-hour days or however long it takes.
Nothing.
Yeah, or nothing. And it really is frustrating because it's very unstable.
Right.
But it's the best feeling in the world when you're working on a set, you know?
Right.
So having to come back to Oregon, there really isn't a lot of resources for that kind of work. And so I kind of took it as a signal from the universe, I need a time out. So I'm working on my own projects. I do my own show writing, you know, concepts and things like that, trying to get development and trying to get projects off the ground. And that's what I basically spend most of my time doing, is just trying to write my next project. And yeah, it's been a long battle, but I am on disability, and I just recently got it, and I've been fighting with them for 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, you applied 2 years ago or something like that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I applied when I first got back, and they told me that my situation was not, it didn't qualify me for disability. It was only when I started dialysis that they automatically said,
Right.
oh, well, you're going to get it.
So what do you feel like while you're getting dialyzed? Is there any sensations at all? Or?
Yes. The thing about hemodialysis is that you're cold.
Okay.
A lot. Because even though they try to have like a temperature setting on the fluid pumping through, and they try to keep the blood cells warm so that they stay alive, they have these buttons right here on the chair, and you just push it, and it warms up the seat.
Oh, it's like a seat heater?
Yeah. And even though like they try to keep the temperature out here warmer, but those techs are running around and they're like, it's so hot. I have a very thick dual fleece, polar fleece blanket that my roommate made, and it's amazing, but it's just cold. And then the other thing is that you can't move your arm that much. So by the time I'm done with dialysis, it's very stiff. And I'm like, I feel like the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz. I'm like, oil can. It hurts. It's, but other than that, no, it doesn't feel anything. Like I don't feel dizzy or nauseous. But they do ask, because there are some patients that feel dizzy, nauseous. They feel, agitated, irritated, all sorts of things. And it's, for me, I don't feel anything other than just cold, and I'm tired afterwards. I'm like, oh, that was exhausting.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
How do you feel afterwards?
Afterwards, I am exhausted. I have enough energy to like drive home safely. Mostly, I'm just tired afterwards.
Yeah.
That's all.
Wiped out.
Yeah, they literally tell you, I mean, I think you probably know, they tell you doing dialysis is the same as running a marathon. It has the same effects on your body. You are wiped out. And I'm just wiped out. Like I can't do anything. I have tried to do social activities after dialysis, and it takes everything in me. I'm like, I am pounding coffee. I'm trying to stay awake. I have to eat. I'm like, okay, I need to sit down. I need to, and people are very understanding. They're like, oh, we know that you're wiped out. We really appreciate you coming. So it's tiresome.
How do you feel on Tuesday? Because you haven't dialyzed since Saturday.
Actually, I don't feel, I don't really have a lot of side effects of not going. If I miss a day, and it would happen to be like, if I miss a Saturday and I haven't gone from Thursday to Tuesday, then I start feeling, then I start having the symptoms that I had. It's almost like I revert back to pre-dialysis stage. So I'm itchy, I'm sweaty, I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm hungry. I mean, that happens all the time, but I'm hungry, but it's like a painful hunger. And then I start feeling like, I just don't feel good. I'm very lethargic. I'm tired, and I'm irritated a lot. So I can definitely tell if I miss a Saturday treatment, I start to feel pre-dialysis symptoms.
Right.
And it's not fun.
What kind of dietary restrictions do you have doing hemodialysis? I understand that there's a lot of dietary restrictions.
Yes. So with hemodialysis, I actually have a food guide Bible. It's very thick. You have to watch your potassium intake, which is in almost everything. Anything that is packaged and manufactured, they have potassium in there as a preservative.
Many fruits and vegetables.
Many fruits and vegetables
fresh
do,
fruits and
yes.
vegetables. You think, oh, it's a good...
Exactly. People think, oh, you can just eat organic and it's fine, you can eat whatever. No.
Yeah.
I can't have tomatoes, I can't have avocados, I can't have a lot of carrots, potatoes. There's a lot of things that you just can't have. One of the great things about DaVita is that they have on their website, they have recipe guides. They're like, oh, you know, you can make this, and especially for the holidays, they have a really great holiday meal guide. You know, you can eat sweet potatoes, but you can't have this. You know, like you can have turkey, but not too much salt. So you have to watch your salt intake. You have to watch your potassium. You have to watch your phosphorus. Phosphorus is phosphorus in food is what makes you itchy.
Yeah.
So they say that you're supposed to take a phosphorus binder, which is the Tums.
They usually take Tums for that?
Just Tums, regular Tums.
Yeah.
And you just take that, you know, every time you eat a meal, take it before or after. Ooh.
You okay?
No. It's just every once in a while, it'll get a sharp twinge of pain, and I'm like, what are you doing? So phosphorus is a big one, which really sucks because I love tomatoes and avocados. Like, I'll eat salad all day long as it has tomatoes and avocados.
Yeah.
Now I can't eat it as often. You have to watch your salt intake a lot. So canned soups you can't have.
Right.
Anything canned you can't really have because salt is a preservative also.
Right.
Salt and water are best friends and they like to hold on to each other. So you can't have a lot of salt because it makes it harder to remove the fluid.
Yeah.
And that's
similar to PD too.
Yeah.
You definitely need to stay away from salt.
Right.
Phosphorus also. They don't want us drinking Cokes or...
Yeah, I don't drink Coke. I don't drink soda anyways. But every once in a while I'm just like, I just want the taste of a Coca-Cola in my mouth.
I just want to rinse my mouth with it and spit it out.
I do that. I'm not gonna lie. I do that. I'm like, oh, I just want to, okay. Spit it out. Yeah.
So I know that you mentioned that you chose YouTube because they said that they couldn't really market this kind of show.
Right.
What made you want to turn this into a show?
Initially, I started to look around at my own situation, and I thought, this is a very unique story, you know, and I thought, nobody that I know has been a patient care tech and then turned around to be a patient later. And that I thought was a very unique situation, a setting. The more I started going to dialysis, I started looking around at the patients in the clinic, and I thought, oh my gosh, I am one of the youngest people here. And I know a lot of people who, when they hear dialysis, they think, oh, grandma, grandpa. And in fact, when I was a patient care tech, a lot of my patients were senior citizens. They were elderly. And it was basically, you know, a way for them to hold on just a little while longer, or, you know, so that they could say goodbye to their family and whatever, and just live a little while longer. But my situation was very different. This is not so I can hold on a little while longer. In fact, probably the day before I started dialysis, that was actually the day that I made the decision to stay alive, because I was very conflicted for a long time. I thought, there's no way I want to go through this. Like, I saw what it did to my patients. I saw what it did to me, you know, having to lose patients, because I've lost a couple of patients where they just didn't show up, and I'm like, oh, I wonder what happened. And then come to find out, well, they died waiting for the bus on the way to dialysis. And I was like, oh my God. And then all of a sudden, there goes that person and their family and their stories and their connection. And you know what I mean? Like, you got attached to the people that were attached to the machine.
Right.
And I thought to myself, when I had to start dialysis, that I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to have to go through that. In fact, I told all my friends, if it ever comes down to me doing dialysis, just let me die, because I don't want to do it. And they were willing to, you know, comply, but we were on the way to the emergency room. The room was spinning. I was vomiting. I was dying, literally dying. I couldn't make coherent sentences, and we were in the car on the way to the emergency room, and my roommate was holding my head up, and I just, out of nowhere, was just like, I'm not ready to go yet. I'm not done. And that was the exact moment that I decided to fight and not give up. I had found out later, that this is actually how my father passed away. So he actually chose not to do dialysis and just passed away.
Wow.
And I, for a long time, I thought, oh my gosh, this was a decision I made. This was not something that I wanted to do. I don't know. I don't know what changed in that moment, but I just was not ready to give up. And I thought, I have so much more that I can do. I have so much more that I can contribute to this world, and so much more that I need to change within myself, that I would be mad at myself in the afterlife. I'd be kicking my own ass. Why did you stop? But it was very difficult for me to come to that conclusion to fight, and I thought, I have so much more to give. Oh, getting back to the point, sorry.
No,
I always go on side tangents, so I'm really sorry. When I started noticing that it wasn't just me who was a younger demographic in my dialysis facility, because I started going to the Gateway Center, and there were a lot of younger people in that facility. I thought, holy crap, I'm not the only one. And I'm not sure that there's a community or some sort of resource to show people, hey, we really need to take care of ourselves. We need to be vigilant about our health. We need to be vigilant about our diet. We need to be vigilant about exercise and taking care of our bodies, because if not, this is what you have to go through. I've had close family and friends who are like, guess what? My kidneys are messing up. And I'm like, yep. And I'm not trying to be, arrogant about it, like, you have to take care of yourself. See, it's not that way for me. It's like, I'm here for you.
Right.
I want people to know that I'm here for you so that you don't feel alone.
Right.
That was the basis of, wanting to start the YouTube channel, because it's a more personal platform. The basis for the show was because I had started doing research on the transplant process and seeing how difficult it was for people to actually get through it, and seeing how there was such a shortage of viable donors who could potentially save a life just by donating a kidney. I mean, we all have two, you only need one. The point of the show was to close the gap. I wanted to inspire people to register as an organ donor. It's not a very difficult process. You just sign up, sign up online. You can sign up with your driver's license when you get your driver's license renewed. There are so many people who believe and support organ donation, but there's not enough to fill the need. And I think statistically I read that there's currently 115,000 people on the transplant wait list waiting for some sort of an organ or tissue donation. 115,000 people. That's the football stadium that they had the Super Bowl in twice. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And my purpose, my mission was to close the gap, to help all of us be more aware, be more knowledgeable, take action, register as an organ donor. It wasn't just about me.
Right.
It's never been about just me. It's been about the greater good for people. And obviously, there's a huge need, because it's not just people who are older now, it's people my age. I'm only 38. I had a guy who came in for, I think, his second treatment, and he was just like, "You're on dialysis?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "How long have you been doing this?" And I said, "Oh, since Thanksgiving. It had only been about 6 months." And he said, "You know what? If I saw you on the street, I would never know that you were on dialysis, because you don't look sick." And I'm like, yeah, we don't look sick. We look like healthy, normal people, but inside we're dying. Yeah, to answer your question in a roundabout way, YouTube was the open window. They told me, you know, we can't produce this as a show because it would be very difficult to sell to a market, but you should try YouTube. And I thought, I'm going to do that.
Well, I'm glad that you did. I'm glad that that
Yeah.
little voice piped up and told you to save your life. So.
Exactly, me too. I mean, I don't know, just by doing this YouTube show, it's already opened so many doors and opportunities that I never thought possible. I just thought, I'm just going to share my story and see what happens. But we'll see what's going to happen from here on out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Sammi,
Yeah.
it's been such a pleasure
It was
to
a
talk
pleasure.
with you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's going to do it for us, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. This has been a very special edition of Fighting to Live. I want to thank my guest, Michael Rosenburg of Living with ESRD. Check out his blog. We will provide a link in the comment section below. That's going to do it for us. Have an amazing day, you guys. And as always, stay blessed.
Why are you the world's cutest Boston? You're the cutest baby on the planet. Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness. But what if I stop? Oh, well, hello, jealousy.